Hi guys, welcome back to Chaos Maker's Hobby House. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a garden tour. Things have definitely changed since the last garden tour. I figured I'd show you around, see what's going on, see some of the things that I am currently dealing with, and how the garden has progressed. So on the last garden tour, I started out with a clip of how the garden looked 2 weeks prior. So you could see the difference that 2 weeks makes, and I think I'm going to do that again here. So this is our starting point. This was 2 weeks ago. And this is today. It is definitely filled in. And I've got my green stalk up, so that's a change since last time as well. There's no shortage of squash. It has been so productive. I'm picking multiples every single day. And it's been so lovely. Oh, that one's ready to be harvested. I haven't harvested today, but I did a big harvest yesterday. So there might not be as much as usual, but we'll take a look. I mean, good grief, just look at them all still coming in. Now, I do have a lot of different varieties of various zucchini and summer squashes. I think I'm at about 19 varieties. And if you'd like to know more about any of them that you see, let me know. I would love to tell you about what we got growing here. And that's a unique one. That's a patty pan. It's so pretty. It's a golden marcabe patty pan, I believe. Can't remember the exact name, but yeah, it's looking amazing. This thing's gotten a little out of control. And so far, no signs of squash vine borers actually entering the plant. I've been picking off eggs every couple days for a month and a half now. But I've been, diligently sticking to a schedule to pick off any eggs I find and spraying with neem oil and insecticidal soap once a week to hopefully smother any of them that I miss picking off. So far, it doesn't look like any have gotten into the plant. But when they inevitably do, because I'm sure at some point they will, I will start injecting with BT and hopefully keep my plants going a bit longer. But usually by now, they're showing damage, so I'm pretty happy with how it's going so far. There's actually a squash vine borer egg right there. So now you know what to look for. There's a tiny brown speck, usually one at a time, but that doesn't mean there's only going to be one on the stem. So you just scratch it off. Considering how many I picked yesterday, that's pretty impressive. I cleaned these things off yesterday. Moving on from squash, because I know not everyone is quite as obsessed with them as I am, let's check out the tomatoes and peppers. Well, I officially have a tomato wall now. It's looking really good. I need to add some more fencing up top so they don't get too tall for what's already here, because they actually kind of already are. But we are starting to see tomatoes. Look at that. That is a beautiful bunch of tomatoes. This is the Pantano Romanesco. I think the rest of these on this side are all cherry tomatoes, and do have some champagne bubbles back there, and the cutest little tomato in the world. This is a determinate variety that stays very small. Look at how tiny this. That's the height of it versus everything else. But if you take a sneak peek, they're hiding under there all over the place. So because this is a determinate, we don't prune it. We let it do its thing and kind of give it support as it needs it. Because if you prune a determinate tomato, you're basically pruning off what will set fruit, because determinate tomatoes set a determined amount of fruit per plant, and once that fruit is set, the plant's done. It won't set any more fruit, so you don't want to prune back anything that's going to potentially give you fruit. Over on this side we have our big tomatoes, although it's looking a little bit sparse. So this is the acres, and we do have some fruit being set. The Acres tomato is looking fantastic. The Black from Tula and Old German, not so much. So the Black from Tula got some sort of fungus on it. I sprayed it with an organic copper fungicide and pruned off everything that looked yucky, and it's bouncing back. It has grown. It had no leaves on it. It was basically naked. So it's definitely growing. I don't know if it'll produce anything, but yeah. And then the Old German tomato, honestly, I'm not sure what's going on here. There's no spots. It's not limp. It's just all the leaves are curling and it's kind of just stopped growing. But here in the South, heirloom varieties are really hit or miss because heirlooms have a tendency to be less disease resistant. And Old German is definitely one of those that does not particularly enjoy heat and humidity, because humidity is one of the leading causes of diseases in tomato plants. I'm not ready to give up on it yet. It doesn't seem to be spreading to any of the plants around it, so we're just gonna let it go. And this was one a friend gave to me. It was the 8th wonder of the world. Never tried it, but we got fruit set there too. It's gonna be a good tomato year, hopefully. As for peppers, they're coming. Got our sweet banana pepper starting to fruit. It's a sweet Italian pepperoncini. I think, so there's some leaves that are a little brown and yucky, and they seem to be all the leaves that were resting on the bar of my trellis. For a few days there, they were just kind of draped over, and that's kind of how it was hanging on. And I think they got burnt by the heat of the metal. So I guess we'll just keep an eye on it, but the rest of it looks to be doing just fine. And my corbaci pepper that was limp and sad in my very first garden tour has perked right back up and started growing again. So I think they're a little bit behind, but they're also getting a little bit shaded out, but that is fine. They're still getting plenty of sun. And my Lacea pepper got blooms that are gonna be set very soon. She's looking pretty good. Oh, he's so cute. I did have to restart my Bikino peppers. Got a few backups in there, but yeah, I think it got stunted a little bit too much from the cold when I was seed starting and hardening them off earlier this year. Oh, first female watermelon flower. Let's pollinate that. Let's give it a hand. So I just plucked off a male flower and gonna transfer some of the pollen. And the bees are active now, so it's really not necessary to hand pollinate, but I'm a little neurotic like that. But so you can tell the difference. This is a male flower. Let's see, it's just a straight stem that goes right into flower. Female flower, that little bulbousy bit right there, that's the future fruit. Just like squash, pumpkins, and other of the cucurbit family, the male flower pollinates the female flower. The male flower doesn't turn into any fruit, just the female. So when I was pruning my tomatoes, the indeterminate ones, I noticed a rather large sucker that had gotten away from me. So I clipped it off, and I couldn't just leave it there, so I felt bad, so I stuck it in the dirt. That was like a week and a half ago. It's rooted and now growing just fine. I can't even remember which plant I took it off of. Maybe Acres, but I did finally get a lychee tomato seed to germinate. Lychee tomatoes are different. They're like, they're technically a tomato, but they're more like a cherry. They have thorns. Like I'm trying to see if I can get it to focus on there so you can see it, but the leaves have thorns, the fruit have thorns, they get massive. Oh, I'm excited and mildly terrified. Okay, you can kind of see it. Kind of see a thorn. Right there. They're gonna get a lot bigger very, very quickly, but it's a thorny tomato. And my all-time favorite melons are doing very, very well. They've been flowering and attempting to set fruit, but not quite successful yet. But these are the Ananas de Amérique melons, the sweetest kind of cantaloupe-like melon without the musk, and oh, they're so good. I have a past video talking more about this if you want to check it out, but I'm so excited. I don't think I had these planted last time I did a garden tour. This is the cucamelons. They're climbing and spreading. I thought I saw a flower the other day, but not quite yet, so I'll keep you updated on that, but that's new. Now for a struggle. The beans, while they are producing, they're being attacked by a lot of Japanese beetles. I mean, just look at how skeletonized it is. How many are flying around? Good grief. Hold on, let me shake this thing. Get a good representation. Oh yeah, they only like one side for some reason, but hold on. Oh God, they get in your hair, they go in your clothes. Take two. Okay, I think we got the brunt of them off. Still some there, but I've been using soapy water and picking them off by hand. Yeah, it stinks. The dead is supposed to scare the living away, but it doesn't really work. Man, they are doing a number on it. Crazy thing is, they don't like all of the beans. Kentucky Wonder pole beans, shredded. Blawhide pole beans, I mean, they crawl on them, but they don't touch them. They are flawless. They also don't touch the Maxidor beans. Absolutely obliterated the purple TP beans. I mean, there's like no leaves left. Haven't touched the blue leg bush beans or the red swan bush beans. I don't get it. At this point, all the beans are producing. I'm picking regularly. I mean, these, I really need to pick these off, let it focus on making leaves, but these haven't produced anything since they've been defoliated by the beetles, but that's okay. They're bush beans. You can resow them all throughout the year. So we'll try again here in a few months. But lots and lots and lots of beans. The bush beans definitely were the first to produce, so that's a nice big one. Followed by the blawhide, the purple pole beans. And the Kentucky Wonder are just now starting to set fruit. But let's see if I can find a good example. Look how long these get. That's not even ready to harvest yet. It hasn't fattened up. It's long and skinny. Oh, there we go. Look at that. I like them. They're good producers. Huh. And it's still very, very thin. Hasn't filled out yet. But the Kentucky Wonder is coming along too. Kentucky Wonder is my favorite, just classic green bean. Although now that I'm seeing that the Japanese beetles seem to prefer it over other varieties, questioning if I should keep planting these in the future. Thankfully, the Japanese beetles are very much so seasonal. So once their season is over, probably in another, 3-ish weeks, we should be in the clear and not have to worry about them until next year. But I just love the color variety. Isn't that pretty? And the red swan is just so short and fat, whereas the blawhide is very long and skinny. Onto my secondary garden bed where I have all my climbing stuff and corn. Since I showed you the 2-week difference for my main garden, let's do it for this one as well. So this was 2 weeks ago. And this is now. Zoom out to get the full picture. It definitely grew. Oh yeah. Corn is definitely taller than me now. I don't remember getting this tall this last year. It's golden bantam sweet corn, and usually only gets 5-6 feet, and well, that fence is 6 feet, so it's doing really well. Yeah, we have set tassels, and I'm not seeing silks yet, but we do have ears starting to form in the armpits. For those of you that don't know, the frilly stuff at the top is tassel. This is the male portion of the plant where the pollen comes from. And the hairy stuff in corn are the silks. So I don't have any silks yet, but they'll pop out the top and then the pollen will drop down via wind or any kind of agitation, fall onto the silks and pollinate the corn. And every single little hair on the silk is one kernel, is attached to one kernel. So if you get that odd piece of, or odd ear of corn and only half of the kernels are there or developed, even spottiness, that's because not every hair got pollinated. And that's definitely more of a common problem with home growers that have very small patches of corn versus acres and acres of corn, because there's plenty of pollen to drift around. If you think about it, you get a really breezy day, it's gonna blow that pollen right into the neighbor's yard and completely bypass your crop. So you can actually kind of help it along once the silks are set by coming out on a calm day in the morning, just kind of shaking. You can also take a bag, put it over the tassels, like a brown paper bag, shake it, collect some of the pollen, and then go over to each of the silks. But for us small space gardeners, corn needs a little help. I didn't even see that one all the way up there. Can you? Oh, let me get out of here. That's higher than 8 feet. This trellis is like 9-ish, 8.5 feet, so yeah. She got big this year, but she is looking so good. Oh, I gotta reel in that loofah. Come here. No, you can't attach yourself to the corn. Oh God, I'm gonna need 2 hands for this. Okay, the drama queen has been redirected. If you grow loofah, be prepared. It will invade anywhere it wants to go. Usually my corn didn't get this big, so it wasn't as big of a problem. No, not you two. But the ridge gourd loofah, this one that is really interested in making friends with my corn, that blooms in the evening. Really pretty bright yellow flower. So unfortunately, can't show you it right now, but it's been blooming for about a week now. And then the standard loofah, well, that's a spent flower, but there's a little loofah on it. That started blooming. This blooms during the day, in the morning, like most things that flower trying to attract pollinators. Yeah. Oh, and the sweet potatoes, I've planted quite a few more slips. I think I'm gonna put probably 1 more slip out here and then let it go wild. Do you see it back there? See if I can. The volunteer sunflower that is growing in between my garden bed and the fence. That I'm pretty sure is from bird seed, because my bird feeders are behind me a little bit, and a bird just perched on the fence and was a little messy. It's so pretty though. Okay, on to the front yard. You remember that little stick that I was talking about that looked like it was just coming out of dormancy, that had broken in the mail? Well, that stick of a pawpaw tree, it is leafed out beautifully. I mean, obviously it's very tiny little baby, but I'm quite happy with how this turned out. I wasn't sure it would survive because the entire top broke off. It was about up to here. Looks like it'll be okay. I think last time I was just mentioning how my cranberries were starting to bloom, but look at all these little cranberries. This will be the first year fruiting. And finally, the dormant red raspberries are finally starting to ripen. I've only harvested maybe 3 off of this so far. They're a little bit later than my other raspberries, but there is a whole bunch. I'll get around to the other side here and you better look. Here we go. Look at them all. They are everywhere. And this is a very, very thorny variety, unfortunately. So it's kind of painful to get in there, but it's also being attacked by the Japanese beetles. No matter how many I knock into soapy water, no matter how much I spray, how many traps I set, but I know these will survive. They've survived many years of Japanese beetles so far, but lots of fruit incoming. And my Nancy Garrison passion fruit has 5 fruits on it. It's about the size that it's going to get. It should turn purple when it is ripe and start softening up. They are starting to get a little bit softer, but this is my first year with this plant, so I'm really not sure what to expect. Just kind of going off of what I read. There's quite a few. It hasn't flowered since it set fruit, which I'm kind of sad because the flowers are absolutely stunning. But maybe it will do like another flush after these are harvested. We'll have to see. My watermelon vines. They just kind of all over the place. Lots of flowers. No fruit set yet though, but oh! Little pomegranates. God, that's so pretty when it's in full bloom. I've seen plenty get pollinated, but only one has actually started maturing into a fruit. Still have plenty of time left in the season. See what happens. I had to cover my poor little cherry tree. Japanese beetles were absolutely destroying it, and since it's so small, they could easily kill it. So far, it seems to be doing okay in there. Nothing's bothering it too much. Oh, do I have dahlias about to bloom? I think so. These I started from seed, so I didn't think that they would bloom in their first year, or at least not very much. That's nice. I'm loving these clusters of little sunflowers I have popping up. I thought I had planted the single stalk large mammoth sunflowers, but I guess I did the skyscraper ones, which produce multiple flower heads. That one I think is going to be a mammoth. Oh, look how delicate these are. It's a pincushion flower or scabiosa. It's just starting to put off another flush of blooms. And same with the echinacea. I moved all these over the winter, so it took them a minute to really come back. But I love the blanket flower though. I have it everywhere in my yard. I have it planted around trees. It reseeds so easily. So even though the original plant I had died back when we had some bad flooding issues, it came right back. Now this little guy, I did not plant this here. I thought I had dug him up. But like I said, when I dug up my entire flower bed and put in some better soil, I relocated everything and apparently I missed one. It's a little balloon flower among the silver mound. Oh, it's so soft. So my Owari Satsuma ended up dropping a lot of the fruit. It did hold on to about 10 or so in there. They seem to be holding on. Can't believe you can already see the rind texture. Wow. See, that one I'm not sure if it'll hold on to. The lighter ones seem to fall, but it's been that color for a while and hasn't fallen yet, so I'm not sure. Yep, see. So maybe I don't have 10 left. It's dropped a few more since the last time I checked. Yeah, I just recounted. Looks like we only have 7 on there now. But first year fruiting. Please just hold on to a couple so I can try it. But seriously, if you break the rind, they smell so good. More blanket flower at the base of my persimmon tree. But unfortunately, none of the blooms on this got pollinated. They all dropped, so we will not have persimmons this year. Got like 3 or 4 last year. So I got to try it at least. A little sad that none of them held on. But I just put it on some new growth. Need to figure out how to prune this thing, 'cause it's kind of odd shaped. My plumeria that had some freeze damage grew back no issue. You can see that center stalk is where I had to cut back the freeze damage, and it just put new branches out the sides. So it's looking really good. I'm not sure if these branches will flower. The new branches, I'm not seeing any signs of flower stalks coming up, but the one branch that didn't sustain freeze damage has a flower stalk. And my current obsession, which is also getting attacked by Japanese beetles, is the Anne's Golden Raspberries. I'm actually getting quite a lot off of this, but I'm impatient and can't just wait a couple days to harvest and get like a whole bowl full, like enough to do stuff with. I end up coming out here like 2 to 3 times a day and picking and eating as I pick. So yeah, so I only get like a handful at a time, but I get it 3 times a day, and they're so good. I just can't wait until the Japanese beetles are gone, because I'm really tired of pulling them out of my hair. I guess another reason why I'm a little obsessive about picking, the Japanese beetles will damage the fruit if given the chance, so I try to get to them first. That's not bad. And there's a whole bunch more that will probably be ripe this afternoon. And last but not least, my pink lemonade blueberry. Little bird netting teepee has worked fabulously. Now it's just about over the big flush. There's still a lot of berries left on it, but I have picked so much off of this so far. They're so good. This is the first year that it's like really fruited. Last year I had a handful, but this year I'm getting handfuls a day, so I'm happy. And they're so sweet. Not too many ripe today. I'm still trying to figure out when they're at their best ripeness, because they don't turn all pink. So far, what I've kind of learned is they fall off the stem when the area that hits the sun is nice and pink, but the underside is a bright white. When they have a bit more of a yellow hue on the underside, even if they're super vivid where the sun touches, those ones aren't quite as ripe. They're a little bit more tart. I mean, they're still delicious, but they could have stayed on for a little bit longer. Well, that concludes the end of May garden tour. It's only the end of May and it's 93 degrees. It's gonna be a really hot year. We'll see how things go, but I mean, heat stress is already around and it's not even summer yet. But so far, everything's looking really good. Some of the things that I've tried this year that differed from previous years seem to be going pretty well so far. Sorry, there's Japanese beetles flying into me. But yeah, I will keep you updated. If you have any questions, let me know. If there's anything you would like to learn more about, I will be happy to help the best I can. I am always open to learn new things if you have any suggestions that could help me in the future. And I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.